to Walking the Path. Yes, walking the path. We're here. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Welcome. So grateful that you're here. So grateful, so thankful. Man, today is the first talk of February, and February is the month of love. That's right. February is the month of love. And so we're going to do a series of talks on love. I'm gonna use my glasses today because I'm feeling like wearing my glasses. So we're gonna do a series of talks on love this month. Our first talk is self-love. Like, what is self-love? Real self-love. As my dear sister, Dr. Wandrea Pennington had shared, she has a great book by that title, Self-Love. So, and guess where I'm at? I'm at Rythmia, where self-love is in the air. It is the one thing that happens when you merge with your soul, is that you realize that there's not one part of you that doesn't deserve to be loved. Not one part of you that doesn't deserve to be held and appreciated. Even the parts that you think are flawed, especially those parts need more love, not less. So that's what's happening at Rythmia every week. This week, I had the great privilege of teaching the Monday opening workshop and a workshop on how to work with the medicine. And then I've had the great privilege of teaching Reverend Michael's class, The Answer Is You. And I'm going to teach a plant integration today. Man, it's just a full week of teaching at Rythmia, and I get so excited. So that's the one thing about Rythmia that is different than any other place, are the classes and the program. So if you have any questions about Rythmia, you can DM me. Going to be weaving in a lot of Black History Month as well into self-love. So today's focus is self-love as the foundation of spiritual alignment. This isn't just self-care, right? Self-care is a part of self-love. But real self-love is the recognition of our divine nature, the recognition that you and I are gods and goddesses, that we are the temple. We call this the body temple, that we're the temple of the I am consciousness within us, that we house all of life within us. If we didn't have this life within us, then medicine, plant medicine, allopathic medicine, prayer, psychology, science, they couldn't do anything, because none of those things create life. Life creates life, and life is in you. And so this is the first piece of self-love, the recognition of our divine nature. And when we love ourselves fully, we can naturally align ourselves with our highest self. That's the divine. In fact, when we talk about the divine, my divine nature, my divine masculine, your divine feminine, or divine right action, or divine love, what we're talking about is the highest aspect of ourselves. My divine nature is the highest aspect of myself. My divine masculine is the highest aspect of the masculine within me or within you, or the feminine within me or the feminine within you. So the divine is the highest expression. And when we love ourselves fully, we're naturally aligned with that highest expression. I think the saying is said that God's eyes are too pure to perceive inequity. The presence of God, which is the highest part of us, only sees the best part of us, doesn't see all the things that we think are wrong, because the presence, which has the long view, right? Has the long view, sees that even our flaws serve, even our apparent most shameful, guilty actions that we've done that cause the biggest amount of shame or guilt, even those serve the great plan of love. Nothing is outside of the activity of the divine. And so I want to first talk for just a few minutes about what is self-love. Self-love is spiritual alignment. It's not about the ego, right? Self-love isn't about, I love myself because I'm so great. El mero mero chingon. No, that's not what self-love is. Self-love is about recognizing and honoring the divine within, that there are no mistakes. There are no mistakes. Reverend Michael says frequently, God doesn't make a throwback. God doesn't do it, doesn't need a do-over. There wasn't anything wrong with you to begin with. There's nothing wrong with me to begin with. But that's the biggest narrative that we have. I'm broken. There's something wrong with me. Well, there must be something wrong with me because I'm not like that person. I'm not as successful as that person. I'm not as organized as that person. I'm not as awake and enlightened as that person. There must be something wrong with me because I'm not like them, or I'm not achieving what I think I should be achieving right now. But loving ourselves, right? So there's this narrative that we're broken. There's this narrative that there's something wrong with us. Deep-seated narrative. I don't fit in. I don't belong. I'm not safe. I'm not worthy. I'm not lovable. We all intellectually know that, but this is more than intellectual. It is a deep-seated narrative within us that there's something wrong with us. So self-love begins to see that we are emanations of the divine, the highest vibratory frequency of love in the universe. And that loving ourselves is really about loving the God source within us. That the divine that moves through us. So self-love is how we treat ourselves. It is about self-care, but it's also about the things that we say about ourselves. I don't know about you, but I'm my harshest critic, right? I'm the one who has the hardest things to say about myself. The most critical, the most judgmental things that I can say are typically, how I treat myself, how I think about myself, and how I allow others to receive love. Of receiving, this is all about self-love, our internal dialogue, and how worthy we feel to receive. Now, releasing these old narratives, these false beliefs, these false premises about self-love, right? That a false narrative about self-love is that self-love is selfish. But the truest thing I ever heard about love was from a book by M. Scott Peck called The Road Less Traveled. And he said that real love is the extension of oneself for the genuine care and nurturing of your own and then another's spiritual, mental, and physical well-being. I must take care of my own spiritual and mental and physical well-being so that I can continue to take care of others' spiritual, mental, and physical well-being. So self-love isn't about being selfish, but it's about the realization, because what's the opposite of that? The opposite is codependency. The opposite is putting others' needs above our own. And that tends to bring burnout and resentment, among many other things. So self-love isn't selfish. Self-love is the way that we take care of ourselves so that we can continue to be a beneficial presence on the planet. We can continue to be of service to our brothers and sisters and to the great plan of love. And self-love also doesn't mean perfection. Man, I got to learn this one too. Self-love does not mean that I am perfect or need to be perfect. In fact, self-love really means embracing all aspects of myself, even the parts that I think are flawed, even the parts that I think are wrong, even the parts that I don't want anyone else to know about, especially those parts. Those are the parts we need to embrace. Those are the parts that that we love ourselves and embrace ourselves, because guess what? We're still growing. We're still growing. And that's the other piece of self-love, is the internal dialogue that we talked about earlier, is really about remembering that as long as we're moving forward, even if it's unconscious level, how frequently I am unconsciously, when I'm not conscious, I can see that I have this underlying idea that I have to earn love. But we don't really need to earn love. Who we are, just us being us, is enough to receive love. My favorite example of this, my good friend and colleague and teacher, Dr. Jeff McNary, has a great example. You know, if a 5-year-old walked into the room right now, they would just be themselves, right? What would a hey, what's up? Are you on TV? What are you doing? Hi, right? The 5-year-old just be like, what's going on? And that little 5-year-old being itself, we love him or her, right? We would just be like, oh my God, that's so cute. Look at that. Right? They didn't need to like earn our love or prove themselves to us. We just fall in love with them because they're so authentic and so real. So you don't have to earn love. Being you, being yourself, is the greatest gift. I know it sounds so trite, sounds so cliche, but the reason why stuff is cliche is because it's true. You know what I mean? Okay. So, you know, we also have these cultural narratives. Extra piece of that, a little extra part of a feeling of not belonging. And these cultural narratives reinforce our not belonging, and therefore our lack of self-worth, or even the need to prove even more, to earn even harder, work harder, faster, longer, stronger, to prove our worth. Self-love stays in this truth that I am an emanation of the Most High, the divine within me, the I am consciousness within me is that which does the work. And me being the fullest expression of the I am is the attractor field, is that which just is open to receive and to give love. But most of, I don't know about you, but most of my judgment is the internal critic, the inner critic. I feel like I have, you know, those two guys from those two guys from the Muppet Show. Remember the Muppet Show? And there were the critics that would sit upstairs, the two old curmudgeony guys. I got them in my head. They're coming, what are you doing? That was stupid. I can't believe you did that. Oh, you're an idiot. Right? They're just constantly critiquing. Where does that voice come from? That voice actually is your friend. It really wants the best for you. Our ego wants the best for us. Our every part of us wants the best for us. But the truth is that most of our parts are immature, and they're going about what they think is best. But what they think is best is coming from an immature perspective. So the inner critic wants to protect us, right? It wants to keep us safe. It doesn't want us to look like a fool. It doesn't want us to mess up. But that inner critic is actually an immature way of looking at how we can be our best, bring excellence, and do our best, right? The inner critic is wanting to protect us from looking like a fool or messing up, but it tends to denigrate us. So our self-talk really shapes our energy, it shapes our confidence, it shapes our alignment. Self-talk, so start to notice your self-talk. Start to notice the times that you're just beating up on yourself, and you can interrupt that with a breath. You can interrupt, you begin to notice, just set the intention. I'm going to notice, I notice self-critical, self-judgmental talk, and I release it. And when it happens, you start to notice, and then you can just pivot to, I'm getting better every day. Okay, that's a part of me that, oh my God, I'm embarrassed I said that. All right, there's my embarrassed Buddha. Come on. Like, so for me, it's like, I'm always behind. I feel overwhelmed. And I know there are other people whose lives just seem to be so in order, and they seem to be able to like have rest time and creative time and work time. And I'm always like, right? So there's a narrative that I have about a belief that questions my worth. Well, I'm not as organized as other people. There must be something wrong with me. Thank you so much. Love you too. So how can I reclaim the truth? How can I reclaim the truth that I'm inherently lovable and enough, that you're inherently lovable and enough? This reclamation of this truth is the way that we interrupt these limiting beliefs and these limiting narratives. So I was just getting a phone call. So what experiences or beliefs have made you question your self-worth? For me, it's like around scheduling, among other things. And how do I reclaim that? Is that, first of all, it is absolutely purging the narrative that there's something wrong, because it doesn't matter if I take time management courses or get an assistant or do any of that stuff. If I still believe there's something broken about me, it doesn't matter. So the foundational piece is this premise, this belief, this limiting belief that there's something wrong, that there's something broken. And that's the piece, that's how we reclaim the truth of who we are, by recognizing that we are an emanation of the divine, that we have everything we need within us. And now we turn from the self-critic, the inner critic, to what am I going to do about it? I'm creating what I want. I'm going to create divine order in my life. No, it's not, what am I going to do about it? I'm going to work harder, faster, longer, stronger. No, it's, what am I going to do about it? Let me set an intention. What am I going to do about it? Let me get clear about what I want. What do I want? I don't want a perfect schedule. I want divine order in my life. Now I'm working with that energy, and watch the ways that spirit has to deliver divine order into my experience. So the next part I want to talk about is cultivating self-love as a spiritual practice. Right? So we've been talking about becoming a up, right? And self-love is also about setting boundaries. Loving ourselves means protecting our peace. Setting healthy boundaries is an act of self-love. And saying no when needed is really saying yes to your well-being. So boundaries, like, one of the best things you can do to love yourself is to get really clear about what you want. Get really clear about what you need. Get really clear about what you desire. When you know what you want, when you know what you need, when you know what you desire, when you know what you deserve, boundaries are a cinch, because it's like, well, that's not what I want. That is not what I deserve. That is not what I need right now. Getting clear about what you want, getting in touch with yourself, because your wants, your needs, your desires are the true. How can we do it on our own? Everybody needs a little help. It is so, man, like, just also self-love can be accelerated through your spiritual practice. Um, Meditation, prayer, reflection, connecting with the source of all life within you, the God within you, the spirit within you. This practice, uh, it's connecting to the love that already exists within us, and seeing ourselves as the kings and queens that we are, seeing ourselves as the home, the temple of the God source. My body temple is the temple of life. And so seeing ourselves as that, whole and radiant, so that like we could go, I'm not perfect, whole, and complete because there's so many things wrong with me. Yeah, there's all sorts of stuff that we need to get rid of, because essentially our essential nature, our inherent nature, inherently you are perfect, because the presence of the I am is within you. The seed of life is within you. The life force itself is within you. So that recognition is the identity that we are infinitely valuable, infinitely connected, as is everyone else. That's where it moves out of the egoic expression. We can say, I am loved and cherished by the whole, as are you. No different. So ask yourself, if I truly saw myself as a divine being, if I truly saw myself, like maybe even think of someone in your life that just loves you, like that you can do no wrong in their eyes. Now, have that person in your mind every time you think you messed up, every time you think you could have done better, and have a conversation with them in your mind. What would they say? Can you love yourself like that person in your life loves you? Right? That's because they'd probably say, oh, you did the best you could. You did the best you could. And you'll do better. It's all right. No, you don't have to worry about that. Nobody thinks that about you, right? Like that, they would totally support you. Love yourself like that. I got to remember to love myself like that. Okay. connection. All right. Thank you all so much for joining. Wishing you a beautiful rest of your day. Happy month of love, and I will see you next week. Peace and blessings.